release the tension in the spine that's inhibited by that. So you get a double whammy. You get strong abs and a flexible spine at the same time. Right? Try one more. So you think, to myself, I'm thinking, actually, I just want a really flexible spine. I don't want to stretch it. I want it to be flexible. And I'm going to do that by a contraction of my abdominals. Exactly. And then you could just relax a little bit of the shoulder stretch. Hold the hands a little higher, because this will start helping get some upper back strength for your swan later, right? So we're not stretching or reaching, we're bending. We're just bending, and then we're unbending. And a thing that I think without saying a lot, is that the cerebral spinal fluids that come out of your brain and then go down your brainstem and then go out into everything, if you bend beautifully, it's like, it feels like a waterfall or something, you know, of this amazing spinal fluid that would just move through your body. Instead of, we're making gestures in space somehow that are accurate according to some rules, right? Versus we're just trying to make our spine flexible.
So what I'm feeling now, if I am contracting D, is now my hamstrings are.
Then we might actually, run into what else is actually impeding our spinal flexibility, right? As opposed to, say, avoiding, knowing that, via contraction of the right muscles to flex the spine, or conversely extend or rotate, we find out actually who's in the way, who has been facilitating us maintaining this chronic tension in the spine.
Okay.
Something like that. Okay, so, and then we could go farther. We could start talking about the hamstrings as well, but we'll leave it at that. But that's what we do want to know. It's like, well, what is it actually that's tight? Right? And then not so much then, oh great, we got to do some hamstring stretches, but more that we have to figure out what's not contracting well such that things are staying tight.
Got it.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let's see you do saw while you're here.
Okay.
Okay? This one has a ton of rules too. And you know, I think it's probably our biggest struggle as Pilates teachers is the rule is, and what's the point again? Yeah, like what is the point? Right, is the point what? To touch your little toe with your little finger? Is the point to spiral your spine and flex it to actually stimulate things, right? And we're not going to stretch it so much, and also we're not going to lean into it, because when you lean into it, then muscles back here have to tighten, right? Does that make sense? So we're not going to lean, we're going to twist, and then we're going to flex, and the flexion is by pulling the abdominals together until you're down and you're empty, and then you unfurl it back and go the other way, and then you curl it beautiful via flexors.
Stay equally on both.
Stay equally on both hips, right? Which sometimes actually mean over sit on the opposite hip.
Yeah.
Right, and then flex. Beautiful. And then come to do one more set. Big inhale, twist, and exhale, empty, squeeze, rotate, flex, flex. Even smaller, flex, right. And come back up, and last time, exhale, just whoosh. Like you were an accordion kind of, right? And you were just squishing air out, and then coming back up. Nice job. Nice job. Let's see you do swan. Now, if we had seen her do swan before she got her spine all nice and warm, it would look a little different.
Yeah.
Right? But let's still see, because swan maybe is one of the worst of them in terms of rules and regulations and fear. Okay, so I'm going to see what you go for it. We'll see what she wants to do. Our task in this conversation is, are we articulating every vertebra in a sequence the way it should be, or are we kind of hauling it or pushing it around? And even as we did our very first spine stretch, we knew we still got some benefit from that, right? But then what we really want to be able to do is access all the little teeny tiny, so stay right here,
Okay.
right? Pull the shoulders back a little bit, pull them back even way more, that's right. And then begin to actually extend your vertebra, right? Little teeny, yes, little teeny tiny muscles, right, in each segment, right, that bend you backwards. Bend, yes. And the image that I always use is the vertebra you're about to extend is the one on the Ferris wheel in front of you, the car right here. It has to go down to go up. It has to go down, down, that way. Yes, right. And then the next one goes down. And if we get them all to sequence correctly, and then you come back down the same way. Right? Like these muscles are holding you up. Yes, beautiful. All the way through. Thoughts on that? Questions? How'd that feel?
That was work. But that's the first time I felt my abdominal stretch. In the
Okay, so that's perfect to what we were saying before.
Yeah.
Right? Like she'll start to feel a stretch here because she's actually using these muscles so powerfully and she isn't stretching them. She just feels a stretch because they're tight.
Yeah.
You want to try one more?
Sure.
So you watch and you see like, okay, of course we have a tendency to haul this whole piece because it's definitely less flexible than these, right? But all the same, the way it's designed, right in here, down, yes, and then down, down, yes, so that these would go down and she would go around them, right?
Yeah.
And then you don't even have to push hard with your arms because you want to hold yourself up with your back.
Right.
So maybe bend your elbows one little bit and then use your back muscles to bend you backwards. Bend yourself backwards, exactly. And when you come down bending yourself backwards. Yes, so they all learn to do their
How do you
job.
not dump into your back?
How you don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like a key
I
question.
really have to think about my transverse abdominis, just engaging there
Yes.
so I don't dump.
I think our goal would be someday we wouldn't have to think about what muscles to engage.
Right.
We would never have to tell ourselves, my transversus needs to something,
Yeah.
right? But en route to that, yes, we do, maybe. But in truth, if we sequence it right, then the force is distributed through every vertebra,
Right.
the way it's supposed to be. I'm not forcing her to do it, her muscles are doing it. They will never do wrong if we sequence it correctly.
Okay.
And so you're going to distribute the force through the spine instead of
Right.
lodge it in your low back. And if we get it sequenced really well, then the abdominals, in an ideal world, will do the job they're supposed to do relative to the contractions of these muscles.
Right.
Yeah, like it's so literal, really. It's not an exercise you learn and then do in class. It theoretically is a tool to enable spinal mobility because it's really, really important, not just because it's part of the repertoire, right? And so as you start to believe it a little bit more, it's a little more important that actually you do swan like this, or roll up like this, or spine stretch like this, then the spines become very, very fluid and very supple, but very strong. And you don't have to protect them so much anymore. Yes, if we focus on looking at a spine as, or looking at an exercise as a tool for producing a result, in this case, a more flexible, strong spine, right? Then you end up with these really, really strong, healthy spines that are mobile the way they're supposed to. We're not stretching it or forcing it. We're just making it use its own really deep muscles to move it in sequence, right? You distribute the force through, you create strength and flexibility the whole way, and you, I forget what I said. What else did I say? Oh, you can't hear it. Anyway, does that make sense? So, like, we're not teaching her how to do swan. We're utilizing this particular movement to facilitate a very strong and healthy, flexible spine so that her health is supported and her fear is lessened, which go together anyway.